Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle Me. In my new series in the year 2020, Rick Miracle Report, this is number 21, February 22nd, 2020. February 22nd, 2020, 2222020, a bunch of twos. So I was continuing to read my Phoenix journals and magazines, the Phoenix Liberator, that you can find on 4winds10.com, the Phoenix journals, the other Phoenix books I've been going over, Contact magazines. So apparently they were making the Liberator for a couple years. My camera seems to keep going out of the zoom here. Bush sells out to the Soviets. Very interesting articles in this magazine. This is December 24th, 1991. Think about that. This is the year, come on, zoom, light. This is the year 2020. So back there in 1990, 30 years ago, this is the information that was out there. And apparently, if we're all paying attention to reality, we've been sold out, sold down the river, they say. So there was an article in this magazine I wanted to read and talk about the Phoenix journals. The Liberator magazine at 4winds10.com, and I get nothing out of this. I have no association with them. I read books and magazines and websites and try to get the word out because I perceive there's something amiss in our reality. So who started this Phoenix journals, Liberator magazine, Contact magazine from 1990 to 1999? And where does the information come from? Well, apparently they started the magazine, and a lot of people from all over the world sent in information. A lot of people were aware of the internal deception from our governments and banking systems in the Gulf War and Vietnam War and so much more. It just goes on and on and on and on. And people woke up and were sending in articles. But apparently the Phoenix Liberator, Contact magazine, the journals, they were also, as strange as this may sound, they were in communication with apparently someone called Hatonn. Georgios Souris Hatonn-Aton. And according to one book I just made a book review on, Aton is the real name of God, and Isu is the real name of Jesus, because the J was added to the alphabet 500 years ago, so there was no J. So this Hatonn apparently says he's parked in orbit in a gigantic ship with a fleet of ships, a command fleet. And their task is to try to wake up the people on planet Earth, and in the event of an emergency, to evacuate all of God's people. I know that's a lot. But let's think for a minute. You know, the religious prophecy says that at the end times, something called Armageddon, a lot of people will be taken off the earth, taken out of here. So is this a plausible way it's going to be done? Are there some other entities from God's world here? I know it sounds crazy, but not only is this article interesting, whether you believe Hatonn is actually in a spaceship gigantic one apparently, orbiting our planet, solar system. But what he talks about is probably the most important thing. So that's who he is. He's apparently some kind of being that seeded Earth a long time ago, and they're back because apparently this time cycle we're in is about to end. And they're trying to wake up all the people so the people, you and I, can make a educated decision to choose God and not the dark side, the new age, the global world order, and all the other deception going on, materialism, and worshiping idols, whether it's a money idol or a beautiful woman or man or whatever people can start loving instead of God, seems to be the issue. And apparently, if you're chosen, if you choose, I guess that's how you're chosen. We have to choose. The people who don't choose are, I guess, from the stuff I'm reading here, are rejecting God, and so they will be left behind for the world that's going to come, which apparently, if you think it's hell on earth now, it's supposed to be much worse. So again, I'm not trying to convince anybody that this guy is really sitting in a ship. Introduction to Commander Hatonn. And that they're here to educate us back from 1990 to 99 and probably after that. There's plenty of people channeling entities. You can find it on the internet, channelers. And they're channeling beings like Jane Roberts channeling Seth, Esther Hicks channeling Abraham, and so many more. Lee Carroll channeling Cryon. Remember Edgar Casey with his connection to the Akashic Records, apparently getting people's past life information and so much more. So here is this Georgios series Hatonn called Hatonn in space, communicating through someone with the Phoenix Project called Dharma. Here's what he says. I write through a translator. A communications through pulsed shortwave transmissions. So he's communicating with a human being through regular radio frequency pulsed shortwave transmissions. Shortwaves would be microwaves. This is not psychic channeling nor hocus pocus. This is purely physics of frequency transmission, receiver termination of transmission, translation of the signal into the English language. So he's sitting in a ship. He's talking into a machine that translates what he's saying into English, communicating into the mind of Dharma, and she's writing all this down. And I am aware right now, if you've seen the ads, you can buy these little boxes that you can speak into it in English and it will spit out French or Spanish, etc., German or Italian. I need to get me one of those. That'd be kind of cool. So the translators now in the year 2020, you can buy them rather cheap. So back then in 1990 to 99 in the Phoenix journals, apparently he's saying he's in the spaceship and he's trying to warn everybody because we're at the end of a cycle. So here's what he says. I am commander of the Phoenix Project, serving the command of that one whom you refer to as the messenger, Christos, God, etc. So I guess he's saying he's working with God, Jesus, etc. The command fleet is from the sector Pleiades, from which originated your ancestral lineage. So he's from the Palladian star system. I think it's 7 stars called the 7 Sisters. Again, I'm not so concerned about anybody believing that this guy is real and all this is real. That's for people to decide. But what his message is here is what I believe is very important. My mission is in preparation for the return of God to reclaim his property. And there's no shortage of videos, including Jonathan Cahn, talking about, and many other religious leaders and professors and researchers, that we are in the end times. And it doesn't also take a stretch of the imagination to see what is happening, to see that everything is happening exactly as prophesied. Even Albert Pike in 1860, 70, 100 plus years ago, wrote a letter to his friend Mazzini, both of them high-level Freemasons, that there would be 3 world wars required to bring about a global world order. And the first 2 are right on exactly as he stated who the wars would be between. And apparently what's going on in the Middle East, he's right on that also. So God, apparently, through the end of this cycle, is coming back to reclaim his property. So apparently, through my interpretation, God's property are people who choose God and I guess accept Jesus Christ. And apparently, it's also prophesied that this information would be all over the world before he came. And with the internet, this information is all over the world. And apparently God, in his infinite capabilities, makes sure that everybody gets contacted and makes a decision. Nobody can say when they get there, when the time comes, that, hey, nobody told me. Because apparently he makes sure individually, whether we have guardian angels or whatever, to make sure that we're giving a choice given the information. So it seems. So God, he went forth and prepared safe passage and a place for each of you who would come within his shelter. So people have to choose God. Say, hey, don't leave me behind. The choice is individual, for force is not of God. And you have free will for all choices. Our direct commission is to set the records into truth of content of historical facts, for the planet is ending one cycle and beginning a new and wondrous cycle of experience. This gives cause for you, of the human species, to make changes concurrent with the greater physical changes of the planet. We've all heard about global warming, global cooling, poles shifting, climate change and sustainability, terrorism, planet Nibiru, pole shift, and all this other stuff, earthquakes, rising oceans. And we've seen, and I live in the mountains now, after spending most of my life in Florida. So I didn't really have a good look at the mountains and the earth. But I moved up here and I've examined it. And it's pretty obvious to me that there has been some huge catastrophes on planet Earth, turning the whole Earth, the ground, upside down. If you look at the shale of the rocks, they're not flat like this, they're like this. So something caused a huge upheaval. And of course we have the Great Flood in the Bible. And any geologists and history books will tell you that apparently the Earth is shifting and has shifted. Continental drift, if you will, etc., etc. Atlantis, Mu, Lemuria, all these other planets. So apparently we do go through cycles. So again, people have to decide whether this is true or not, whether you believe Commander Hatonn or not, but I can certainly say it does look like we're in for some interesting times. Yours will be a spiritual change and may or may not include physical translation. Each will be given a choice of direction and translation. I wonder if it's supposed to be transition. So we're all going to be given a choice to, I guess, if you leave the human physical body and enter into the spiritual realm or the higher realm, apparently the physics changes. And apparently in the past that people lived 300-400 years, and the physics was different back then than it is now. I guess it's at a low level now, the three-dimensional world we live in. And a lot of our spiritual abilities have diminished. Apparently there's still a lot of people out there with psychic abilities, etc. All right, continuing on with this reading. The purpose of these writings and speakings is to allow the truth to be put forth unto the masses who would wish to receive them. The journals also serve as historical documentation of this portion of history relative to that which has come before, known and unknown, for whatever life forms and generations to follow this manifested experience. And we know by the monuments all over the world that there was an advanced civilization before this one, before the Great Flood. I mean, Noah got on the ark with the DNA of all the animals, however that worked out. And apparently his sons and wives and everything else. So there was a civilization that built the ark and people who died before the Great Flood. And then the whole world had to start over again, minus the fact that some people survived with all that advanced knowledge. And apparently these are the secret directorate or hierarchy or beings on this planet that have been controlling things in a very evil way for thousands of years. All right, maybe I can get a little better view of me. So let me continue reading. I'm only doing a 30-minute video. You come against the wall, so to speak, wherein you all but cross the societal point of no return. You will act to reclaim your human rights, or you will fall to the adversary, satanic forces, who, by the way, is that one touted as the Antichrist. So apparently, everything I'm talking about in this letter from him is what's happening, and it aligns perfectly with biblical prophecy and other religious books all over the planet. You are in the time of and the action of Armageddon as recognized from prophecy. It makes no difference to me whether or not you are believing of this information. Truth will stand into infinity, and God does not send us, the host, to banter or kibitz with you about the facts of the matter. Ours is to present the situation as it is unto you. Your enemy, as to space aliens, are now all landlocked to your orbiting system. You have no enemies among the brotherhood in space, the cosmos. You do have enemies in your spaces, but they are very earth-oriented and originated. So all these vast technologies I've been talking about, UFOs, aliens, apparently it's all real. They were created here on Earth, the ships, and we do have all the abductions involving gray aliens and reptilian beings creating some kind of a hybrid human race. There's plenty of evidence. I've been going over it, and I'll continue going over it day by day. All of this is explained in depth in the writings. This message is for identification of myself and my co-workers who bring information and assistance at this time of evolution. We bring the unfolding and the uncovering of the actions upon your globe so that you can awaken unto your plight with reason and proof. So we need to awaken to the reality of the disastrous situation we're in. I just added that. It is up to you as to what action you take, for our commission is to respond to you who have asked input and assistance. So apparently we humans can choose God, can believe this, And with our minds, maybe we can communicate with this Hatonn or these beings in space. And how far that will go, let me continue reading. We will do nothing for you. We will serve and inform with how to as we move along through the maze of incredible deceit. You have nothing to fear. From us, of the lighted brotherhood of the cosmos, for we work and act only within the laws of God and those of the universal creation, natural. Your would-be kings, rulers of the globe, have heinous plans to injure you and place blame upon the cosmic brotherhood of light. What will be claimed to be a blatant lie. So whatever happens on Earth, they're going to try to blame it on some beings in space. He's saying here it will be a blatant lie. You are people of the lie. And unless you awaken and reclaim your heritage as nations and people, you shall fall, no more and no less. Massive efforts are put forth to stop our presentations. So be it. We have not to lose. You have everything to lose, including your souls as well as your lives physically. And remember, I've been reading many books, hundreds of books, made hundreds of videos, over 1,000 hours on YouTube. July 2019, YouTube terminated my channel with no strikes against me. And whether it's Twitter or Facebook or canceling people's websites or killing people, abducting people, framing them, jailing them. A lot of people disappeared. Some people fell out of ski lifts and got hit by buses. Apparently, somebody does not want certain information out there. There's no doubt about that. If you don't think so, go listen to President John Kennedy's famous speech. And you can look it up just like that. John Kennedy's famous speech. He said, secret societies are repugnant to the American way of life, and I intend to expose them. And apparently he was working with his Russian counterpart, and they were going to expose the UFO alien thing. Anyways, the point is, he was assassinated days later in a Freemasonic Delaney Plaza. So it was a ritual. And Satan and the evil forces of a cult use rituals. God does not use rituals. No way, no how. According to what I'm reading. My commission is to inform you, and I shall do so to the best of my allowed abilities, for we are not allowed by cosmic law to interfere or intervene except in specific and delineated instances which have been covered in lengthy dialogue prior to this. So you can go to 4winds10.com or look up the Phoenix Journals. There's a couple other websites with them. Find the Liberator magazine, Contact magazine, Phoenix Journals, and read this information that was being pumped out from 1990 to 99, 10 years prior to 2001, which enabled the evil forces to pretty much destroy the entire Middle East. As we've all seen, and it is continuing on, apparently Iran is next, or it's a deception. You don't know who's in cahoots with whom, but apparently the evil forces are plainly in control of the planet, and they are planning for a global world order, and they are behind the weather control and microwave transmitters, 5G, cameras monitoring everybody, computers, Alexis and Siri and all this stuff, with our cars and our refrigerators and everything, listening and documenting everything we do. Oh my. Back to the article. He says, I serve aboard the command ship Phoenix, and I head the fleet command. I am the commander of the United Federation Fleet, Intergalactic Federation Command. I link with other commands, i.e. the referenced Ashtar Command, only in time of imminent planetary destruction, at which point the command will be in charge of any evacuation of the general nature. So the people who choose God, mentally and verbally, I guess, choose God, make it known. I'm God's person. I turned aside from the Satanism that's going on and the killing and the stealing. God does not believe in killing, doesn't want you or I to kill. Our command will bring all of God's people into security. So we have to choose if we're God's people or not. I certainly choose God. I believe Jesus was absolutely real. I believe that they killed him. And the teachings seem pretty accurate to me. Nobody's really found anything that's not happened that was prophesied to happen. All right. He says here, I have no responsibility to the adversary. So they're not going to try to save the Satanists, Luciferians, the pansexual New Agers, the people who are believing in war and killing and hating people. They're not responsible for those people, nor the followers, and no evil shall be brought into the places of lighted God. Evil is a manifestation of human, and we do not allow evil within our orderly, God-revered societies. So apparently I've been reading this material, and apparently this may not be your or my first time on earth. Their reincarnation appears to be real, and apparently it's about soul growth and making decisions to get elevated back into the God world. But let me read this material here. This does not, however, mean that ones who are in deciding will not be taken into a placement which can preserve soul survival. So people who haven't chosen evil, Satanism, Luciferianism, and they're just on the fence in deciding, there may be some room for those people so they can decide. I am not here to ask your permission for anything. I care not what any aspect thinks or believes. I have a mission of God, and I shall see to it. You may join with me or deny me, for it makes not one iota of difference. I do not sell anything, not this paper, nor any item. I have a commitment and an obligation, and I will see to it. You may do that which you will agree or disagree. I do, however, suggest that all read with an open mind to the possibilities herein, for you are told by all corners of your intelligence that you are in a traumatic time of change. You might well be advised to look into the possibility of the truth of this information. I chair the Cosmic Council relative to the universal sector, and I believe you will find that I am not overly ruled. He who denounces my presence, he who denounces my person, had best be carefully looked at through the intent of wisdom, for I meet with any man and or energy who claims my falseness. I find no one ever somehow wishes to participate in that invitation for confrontation. Do you not find that strange? You will find most of the New Age groups and speakers fully in alignment with the New World Order global government. This will be denied, for they do not realize the subterfuge and the sucking in of the innocent and the ignorant. So a lot of people are being sucked into this global New World Order, even out there doing protests, saying we need to take emergency actions on the climate and all that. It's all part of the deception. I suggest you pay close attention, for you are on the brink of losing your world, not just your freedom. I shall continue to bring to your attention the cover-ups as they occurred and still occur. God has no mysticism nor hidden agenda. God is open, and the only mystery is that which you simply do not yet understand, that too he gives unto you openly and freely. There are no secret rituals or hidden doctrines, royal titles, or elite placements. If you find any of these things in that which you follow, I suggest wisdom in discernment of your choices. If you give of your power unto another according to his decrees, you have forfeited your power forever. God asks that you accept and take your power in his name, and that you can become one within his grace and reclaimer of that which is your rightful heritage. I feel that we must begin to publish this identification and purpose, for we are swamped with new readers, and it is magnificently important that you know who we are and what we are about, for we are about our Father's business. Again, you have nothing to lose by gaining truth and insight, and you do have everything to lose in the physical and soul realms by remaining ignorant at the hands of the deceivers who would hide truth from your eyes and ears. So be it. I salute you who assume responsibility. I pity you who do not, and I have great compassion as we pass on into the more compressing times ahead as you perceive the journey. I offer my hand in love and brotherhood, and I give you all that I have and am. Accept or deny my person, but I suggest you look into the possibility of what we bring. Might well be the truth, and you will come to understand. To deny the robber who has just bound and gagged you is to be a stupid fool. The better part of wisdom is to look, discern, and then to act. God never limits your investigation into all facets of the truth. Does your minister? Does your controlling hierarchy? I suggest you ponder this well. So we know that, yes, the controlling hierarchy, Facebook, internet, Twitter, websites, the government, they're even trying to pass laws in the United States right now that you can't talk about Israel or Jewish people or these Zionists or Illuminati, and they're having all these incidences to get the support of the congressmen and congresswomen, trying to say that those things are hate speech. So freedom of speech. In Europe already, you'll go to prison if you say bad things about those people. But in America, we still have some free speech, although the forces in control are forcing their hand and moving forward to make it more and more illegal and a crime to do those things. And this is in the book of Orwell's 1984 and so many other books and thousands of books and magazines and documented research and material I've gone over or other people going over. I don't think too many people believe that we're not heading into some disastrous future. The movies are telling us. I'm watching a movie right now, a series, I guess, The Man in the High Castle. Oh my, what a crazy series. But then so are they all, even the one called Lucifer, the series, or the one Gotham, and all these programs with all the viciousness and slaughter. And apparently, one more note before I end this video. President Donald Trump had that Iranian general assassinated. It's now coming out that the ISIS actually, what made the attack on that base, it wasn't this general. But the government's not addressing that. A lot of people are talking about it. But what they have found, some researchers, is President Donald Trump's popularity increases with all of these actions, killing people, etc., bombing people. Apparently, they've done some statistical studies and found out that a major portion of the population enjoys this stuff. The killing and all of that. And if you read this report I met right here from Commander Hatonn about who he is and why he's here, those people are making a huge error, and apparently the government knows that President Donald Trump's popularity will grow the more he does all of these aggressive activities. And even during the Obama years, we were all fed the liberal data, and now, of course, we're fed the conservative data, and it's all the same people. Even this one little brochure I got in the mail. Jim Davis, NRA, rated and endorsed conservative for Congress. Real liberals want to tell us how to live, how to worship, how to eat. I spent the past 10 years in the state Senate fighting this politically correct garbage and defending our right to bear arms. That's exactly what I'll help President Trump do in Congress. The liberals aren't taking our guns or our cheeseburgers on my watch. There's his gun, there's his cheeseburger. So like I said, during the 8 years of the Obama administration, we were all fed this liberal stuff and sanctuary cities. And then people, rightfully so, were just sick of it, wanted to just regurgitate it and throw up. It was so insane. So it was easy to drag everybody into the conservative political realm, where they're doing just as insane things and more bombs and missiles and assassinations over there in the Middle East and other things in the world by the conservative. So there is no difference between the conservative party and the liberal party. Apparently it's controlled by the evil forces who plan on a global world order and all this deception that Hatonn is talking about. Thank you for watching my video. Rick Miracle reporting.